So, last Phantom on Broadway is no more. This seems to have awakened a fervent need in Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber to protect his most valuable IP. No, you cannot see it on Broadway anymore, but you can immerse yourself in it off-Broadway in a $25 million, fully immersive interactive staging set in a 6-story building where you, the viewer, walk through a larger-than-life fanfic. There's the extensive US tour, the even more extensive world tour, the 8 million professional novels.
I don't think that he's good for you.
How do you know what's good for me?
That's my opinion!
Phantom's doing okay. But is that enough for Lord Andy? There appear to be competitors taking advantage of the book's public domain status in the US, and the brand must stay strong. So, last summer in 2025, we got a press release for 3 books from HarperCollins, all centering on Phantom. TM. A nonfiction history for adults, a golden book for kids, and Our Strange Duet, written by Erin A. Craig, whose acclaimed fantasy novels House of Salt and Sorrows, and The 13th Child was selected for the project for her intimate understanding of the source material and her flair for emotionally rich gothic romantasy. Ah, I see. Lord Andy has decided to pivot to romantasy. Okay.
As readers browse bookstore shelves and cozy up with a book, many are turning to the romantasy genre.
Magical worlds, dragon riders, shadow daddies, and a quest to save the kingdom. It's just a day in the life of your typical romantasy.
You honestly can't really blame the guy at this point. This shit is so hot right now. Although, I fear we may be in a bubble before we've even had our Twilight. Like, what is the romantasy book? I mean, I know you nerds know, but normies, what is the romantasy book? If you go to Barnes & Noble now, you're gonna be hit with tables of books with, swirly font covers and a thing titles, and the back cover copy is always like, Rosalithia lives in a world controlled by the dark magic of the Nightcock, a mysterious shadow lord. When her father is kidnapped by the secret guard of the Nightcock, she must make a brave sacrifice and journey into his court, a realm of intrigue and secrets, where she will learn that the Nightcock is actually the Dark Fuck Prince, who is unbearable and she hates him. But they have to team up, even though he wants to kill her. In 2015, Sarah J. Maas wrote a book series starting with A Court of Thorn and Roses, marketed as a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It does okay when it comes out, but Book Talk rediscovers it more or less organically during the pandemic. It gets really popular, turning into a phenomenon, and here we are.
I'll make a trade with you. I'll heal your arm in exchange for you. The curtains.
What's happening?
But 2023 was the real breakout year, wherein Rebecca Yarros's The Fourth Wing becomes a viral phenomenon on Book Talk, sitting at #1 on the New York Times bestseller list for 18 weeks. Fantasy book sales were up 62% through the first 9 months of 2024, driven by romantasy. In terms of popularity and its audience, romantasy is giving big YA paranormal romance craze of the 2010s vibes, and it got me wondering, what is the diff here? What separates romantasy from YA paranormal romance? Like, is this just a rebranded version of the same thing to put some life into the old girl? And no, there are a few appreciable differences. Quite a few, which we will get into. Both of these genres have extremely rigid formulas.
That's true. Let's be honest with ourselves. Raise your hand if you think you suck at YouTube. I looked through almost all your channels, guys.
Wait, dead at?
I looked through all your channels.
Okay, tell me the last thing I posted.
The Mighty BA, you posted your first video. It's pathetic. It's an embarrassment. It's called I Played Fortnite with a Transgender. It has 300. You want to say I didn't do my homework? You're a pathetic excuse for creator if that's your first video. Hey. That's true.
But while romantasy is a super huge deal in publishing, it hasn't really broken out yet. It hasn't had its Catherine Hardwicke's Twilight.
Say it. Out loud.
He's an asshole.
These are some of the romantasy TV series and or films in development right now. Although the big gun, the planned Hulu adaptation of A Court of Thorn and Roses, has already been scrapped. Interesting. But wait, there's more. You've got interactive romantasy gaming with visual novels like Touch Starved, where game mechanics are shaped around unhinged romance options packed with tragic longing. Paramount and Fox have expanded their publishing arms to lean on high-concept romance. Slow burn to get on that sweet dark romance gravy train. DC Publishing is sniping writers like Sarah J. Maas and Leigh Bardugo to write romantasy-coded versions of their popular female characters like Catwoman, and Disney Hyperion, which has been doing dark rewrites of its movies like the Twisted Retelling series, which is exactly what it sounds like, is pushing its own original romantasy series, beginning with The Ruins Beneath Us. Film studios create or partner with publishing companies so they can own the film option before the book even comes out. The studio does not need to waste money on the option because the studio owns the publisher, or at least owns the option. And this book does feel, I don't know, I don't want to say manufactured. I feel like there was some real passion there, but it does not feel like the sort of thing that would have been pushed to the top if there wasn't a large company who really wanted Game of Thrones for Her to happen. Yeah, sue me, I read it on Kindle. Publishers trying to manufacture the next big thing is a tale as old as publishing. They basically decide what they're going to throw their weight behind the moment they acquire it, and 9 times out of 10, that does determine what becomes a bestseller. Even the ones that were successful in self-publishing before they went on to find success in traditional publishing, it was the traditional publisher that decided this is going to be our next big thing, and it was only then that we got the big money and the film option into it. We saw a lot of these attempts at manufacturing the next big thing during the YA paranormal romance / dystopia craze of the 2010s. Take The Fifth Wave, a book which I own a hardcover of for some reason. It's my Lucille 2, if Lucille 2 was a book. The Fifth Wave was a success in that it did what it was built to do. It was shout out by the author, basically on commission, allegedly. That's what I heard through the grapevine. This was not like a passion project that he wrote, so I don't feel bad trashing it. The book sucked, it got its movie. The movie was bad, but nowhere near as bad as the book. You know, came too late in the YA dystopia boom. Movie flopped, hate them both.
They lied to us. They lied to us, man. Green doesn't mean alien, green means human.
Hate, hate, hate. But even though the movie flopped, it was still a huge success because it got a movie. Huge windfall for the publisher. Then you have your examples of your ensuite franchises, the more extreme end of the manufactured next big thing. The books that were ready to roll out and hit bookstores with media tie-ins planned into them, like The Queen of the Tierling, which was bought by HarperCollins with a movie deal starring Emma Watson already attached. This was like in 2014, so you can probably guess how that turned out. I got an advance copy of this the year it came out. I don't know where it is. Pretend it's right here. And man, they were pushing this hard that year. Finally, we're gonna have Game of Thrones for Her.
This one's for the girls who've ever had a broken heart.
And Hand to Christ, I don't remember a single thing that happens in that book. I think there was like a field in it. Alex Astor's debut novel, Lightlark, is perhaps the most high-profile recent example of the viral hype machine backfiring. Astor had been working on the novel for years, but when she posted a TikTok video that went super viral, she snagged a 6-figure book deal and a film deal with Universal Pictures almost overnight. Unfortunately, the book came out and fans were...
The blood tasted like power, she wanted to say. Power, it tasted like blood.
whelmed, I guess, and accusations that Astor was a privileged, rich industry plant who had lied about or misrepresented the book to her audience tanked its momentum entirely.
Okay, we need to talk about publishing industry plants and nepotism.
I started to see things that were like, is Alex Astor an industry plant?
I read these books so you never have to. No, seriously, don't read them.
What in the Jesus Christ was that?
The most privileged thing a person can do is ignore their privilege.
But I think at least some of it can be traced back to an article that was recently published about her twin sister, who is a self-made millionaire.
People began to take some valid critiques and reviews and use those as an excuse to attack Alex and review bomb her book, dropping it from a 4-star rating to now a 2.6.
I don't know everything that has gone on behind the scenes. I'm not trying to say that. But what I do know is that money and powerful connections are the two most important things in any industry.
I'm not going to get into the validity of those accusations. The Mean Girls ghoulishness of the culture of book talk and Goodreads is a story for another day. But there is a case to be made that pandering to an audience of people who are hungry for the same tropes over and over again not only has a decent likelihood of backfiring, but might produce some quality issues in the work itself. The rubric. So these are just our observations. But like paranormal romance before it, the rules for romantasy are surprisingly rigid. And I know I need to be careful, yada yada, politics, whatever, I don't care. I honestly, in the event that you are a romantasy author who is published, I strongly recommend that you do not watch this video because it will piss you off. And not just because I'm being unfair. I am the person who tricked tens of thousands of people into reading bury the lead, high concept monster fucker books. I do not pretend to be better than you. It's okay. That said, my tone alone I know is gonna piss you off, so don't watch this. I am not trying to ruin anyone's career. Again, I think that the book talk Goodreads kill the thing for clout culture is it's bad, it's toxic and bad. Neither am I intimating that all of these tropes are bad or lesser or unworthy. I myself have dipped a toe into some of them. These are just the dominating trends, where if you have most or all of these, you probably have a romantasy. Underdog female main character, and the series is 100% first person from her point of view. First person present. Nothing wrong with this. It's wrote hero's journey stuff. It's fine. I have done this, sort of. Not the first person part, but for one book. But it's always a cis white woman. Usually it's the I'm so pale, no one thinks I'm hot thing. Sometimes she has a tan. She is either human in a world of fairies or vampires or ice barbarians, and, you know, she has circumstances set against her. She has magical hemophilia that's triggered by thunder, or, you know, she's a bender of some sort and no one can know, or she'll be hunted down like the fox. Put a pin in that. Everyone is a bender. Usually it's the heroine. On rare occasion, it is the dark fuck prince. And that's our secret power, and nobody can know about it because if people find out, they'll kill me. I can bend shadows, or I can bend silver, or I can bend blood, or I can bend the very threads of the human body. Am I allowed to point out that everything is an Avatar: The Last Airbender ripoff without you idiots ruining my life now? My friend Princess has a theory that every subgenre of genre fiction from here on out is just gonna be a repackaging of whatever the hugely popular fan fiction pairings were 10 or 20 years ago. You know, whatever this generation of authors grew up with. So, in with Zutara.
What are you doing?
Keeping rocks from crushing you.
Okay, I'm not crushed. You can get off me now.
I'll take that as a thank you.
The Dark Fuck Prince. The beast in our Squillian D. Beauty and the Beast retellings, only he is not physically ugly. He's not a 10. He's hotter than that.
These go to 11.
His ugliness is on the inside. So the opposite of how it's supposed to work? He's Grey Thor, the Thunderlord, and his quest for vengeance against the humans who overthrew his father has brought him to a poor scribe's doorstep, who is also a bender. But he could never do anything bad. He could, but he wouldn't. She thinks he's done stuff that's bad, but he hasn't. He is also in the nobility, somehow. Never is he a commoner. He's horrible. I hate him. Whiteness. There was one hot minute in the late 2010s where, like, some of the biggest names in at least YA were people of color. Yeah, that minute has come and gone. There are a few exceptions, but they aren't from major publishers and they aren't huge on Book Talk. The genre, on the whole, is distractingly white. The fantasy cultures we are drawing from comes from a very small zone of Northern Europe. I don't even think it's always out of disinterest in non-white culture. I'm sure some of it is out of fear. You know, we wouldn't want to be caused of doing a problematic or doing an appropriation, so behold, an entire genre of all-white casts. And just so we are clear, there is plenty of fantasy being published by major publishers, written by and featuring people of color, but not romantasy. No dark fuck princes of color for you. Love triangle. All of them. Every single one.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
And this, honestly, is kind of a departure from traditional romance novel. They don't usually do this, but this traditional romance novels usually also end with one book, so we got to keep the momentum running somehow. And because these must be a series of 800 books, there has to be a Jacob. Sometimes several Jacobs. Originality points to A Court of Thorn and Roses for actually starting with the Jacob before the real dark fuck prince comes in later books.
No.
Very well. Enjoy the rite.
Wait. You're not from the Spring Court.
It's actual fantasy, not urban fantasy. So it can't be like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or even Harry Potter where, you know, it's our world, but there's a secret magic underworld in it. You know, it's got to be firmly, you know, Middle Earth or Westeros. It's a different world. Sex, lots of it. Most of it is off-screen because while the heroine is down to pound and, you know, so is the rest of society, this is not YA. And we are not prudes here in the Court of Secrets and Intrigue, but she's unknowingly holding out her heart for the Dark Fuck Prince as she scrubs the floors of his palace. But then she's never experienced pleasure like this because his dick is really big. And as everyone knows, the bigger the dick, the more the pleasure. No such thing as too big. Not a thing. Just a logarithmic pleasure grab. Number 8, capitalization. Strap in. You know how the guy who directed Battlefield Earth knows that sometimes you tilt a camera? Everything that is unique to the universe, we have to capitalize it. Are you a metal bender? No, you're an alchemist. Do you live on the land? No, you live on the continent. Are you a seer? No, you're a diviner. That one's from this book, The Knight and the Moth. And the word diviner is capitalized in the same way that, like, you know, the Oracle of Delphi is capitalized. And, you know, it does make sense. I'm not mad that they capitalized diviner, but then they'll be like, oh, are we divining today? Girl, we don't capitalize verbs. Muhammad is the prophet. He does not prophesize, you feel me? We do not capitalize a verb unless it is the start of a sentence or for comedic effect. And honestly, this is one of my only issues with this book. This one's actually really good. Here's how it should work when we are capitalizing nouns that are not proper nouns, but now they are because they are in this universe. Okay. When someone is a bender, bender is not capitalized. A pope, not capitalized. The pope, capitalized. This dovetails with making up words, which is a thing that needs to be handled very delicately and has really fallen out of fashion. Nobody does it anymore, unless you're Anne Leckie. She just fully makes up words. There's like no fake Welsh here. One of her alien races is just called the It's like the noise my dog makes. If you've read my books, you know I'm on team not make up names out of whole cloth. Again, unless you're Anne Leckie, she's allowed. Like, I don't have organs, I have squeedly spooch.
My organs! Inferior human organs! Oh, my squeedly spooch!
So the trend now is we don't make up words, we appropriate them. So we are using capitalization to denote the fantasification of the word. Uh-oh, here's this abomination again. Dad and I called them the others, as in not us, not human. The aliens are called the others. Are they from Otherton, Rick? Are they from Other Troit? First off, this book, you know, it takes place in the modern day. Like, you know, we're just humming along and oh no, aliens. And if we didn't know, like, oh, it's the vegans or the Beetlejuicians, if we don't know what they are or where they're from, we just call them the aliens, not the fucking others. Officially, the aliens in Independence Day are called the Harvesters, but no one in the movie calls them that because they're like, oh, aliens.
Welcome to Earth.
So obviously I have spent a lot of time thinking about this, and it's a question I get asked sometimes, like how does my capitalization system works? And it works the same way it works in English, the language that we speak. And I had to give myself serious permission not to capitalize the thing. It takes bravery not to capitalize the thing. I am very brave. Amygdalin, ficetarin, not capitalized, for the same reason you don't capitalize human or raccoon. We don't capitalize species names in English. We are not speaking German. A superorganism, any civilization, or an anthill or a beehive or something, not capitalized. The superorganism, the big scary one, capitalized. Amygdalin is to the superorganism or Pequod superorganism as human is to Earth. You capitalize the name of a race or a people or a culture, you don't capitalize the name of a species. As with most things, the proliferation of capitalizing non-proper nouns is Tolkien's fault. If you read The Lord of the Rings, you see that he capitalizes a lot of words that in normal English are like basic nouns, species names. Elves, men, dwarves. He got in a big fight with the publisher over dwarfs versus dwarves. That one's pretty funny. There was one point where like the editor cited the Oxford English Dictionary as for here's why you should spell this way, and Tolkien's like, I wrote the Oxford English Dictionary. King shit. So again, lowercase is what we use for species name, like human or dog, whereas in the case of peoples, like, you know, the Americans or the never nudes, uppercase is used. And Tolkien capitalized the names when he was referring to like elves or men as a race or a distinct kindred. He is not talking about species when he uses these terms. Tolkien did have very strong opinions about this, of course. We have lots of letters of him arguing with his editors about it. And he did not always capitalize these words depending on if he was using them in the species way or the race way. There are some inconsistencies between editions, and especially between earlier editions of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, but this is less because of change inconsistently than change of purpose, intended purpose. Hobbits, for instance, are not capitalized in The Lord of the Rings because that's like the species name that the hobbits have for themselves. In short, there are a lot of fantasy authors who see that Tolkien capitalized everything, but, you know, they don't really think of why. They're just like, oh, he capitalized the non-fantasy thing to make it a fantasy thing. He's trying to draw attention to it. No. Enemies to lovers.
She discovers she has a secret power, and then there's a sexy, muscular anti-hero who she falls in love with in a sort of enemies to lovers plot.
They just hate each other. Whether it makes narrative sense or not. Here's the thing, it's a fun dynamic, it's easy to do in the short term, but it's a hard dynamic to maintain over hundreds and hundreds of pages. So authors have a tendency to maintain it, less because it makes narrative sense, so much as our heroes are the most obstinate people alive. The Dark Fuck Prince has a tragic backstory that explains why he's not evil, and why it's okay actually that he has forced a woman to live with him, or transmute silver for him, or why he treats her like shit at the Griffin Academy. Actually, he was the one trying to subvert the dark magic, or his dad, the Dark Fuck King, and who was actually the bad guy. Now, he is an asshole, but it's only because the heroine is wrong about everything. If he is prejudiced, he has every reason to be prejudiced. She's only pride because she's an idiot. The rebellion was put down years ago, before the story started, but that was good. The rebellion was good, and in the world that Lena was raised in, it was actually fascist the whole time. And yet our heroes maintain their hideously toxic dynamic even after external conflicts are resolved. Everybody gets a pet fox. Just something I've noticed. Plot and world building are extremely secondary. Fantasy is a genre that is usually highly plot driven. These romantasy books will often start out pretty conflicts are resolved. Everybody gets a pet fox. Just something I've noticed. Plot and world building are extremely secondary. Fantasy is a genre that is usually highly plot driven. These romantasy books will often start out pretty strong, but as soon as the dark fuck prince shows up, the world building just exists as scaffolding for hundreds and hundreds of pages about how much they hate each other. Oh my god! As a result, the plots don't have as much momentum as you would see in traditional fantasy. You know, there's rarely like a golden chalice we have to get before the Dark Lord gets it, or some sort of ticking clock. Like, oh no, you've disturbed the throbbing veil of the night cock, and now we only have 1 month before the Dark Lord dominates us all. So we need to do a training montage, and we hate each other while we do the training montage. But you know, if we gotta do it, and there's a ticking clock. You know, something like driving the momentum of the plot, some sort of external driving force, which is the reason our mismatched couple have to work together. In regular traditional romance novels, you don't have this because you don't need it, because it's not fantasy. If you're not having like an external world building related driving force, then why bother? In a lot of these books, sure, there's some background evil thing that is like looming over the universe, you know, out there somewhere. But in terms of plot momentum, they're mostly just, you know, hanging out. This is why enemies to lovers often feels kind of contrived to me. The reason our heroes are forced to team up are not as externally driven as they could be and are often pretty weak. I'm so pale. My skin is so pale, and everybody thinks I'm such a freak because I'm so skinny, and I'm just so skinny, and everybody hates skinny bitches. I wish I could be a curvy, thick girl, because that's what everybody likes. And I wish I had a tan, but I'm skinny and pale, and everybody hates that. How is this still a thing? All of the consent. When they finally do get around to getting it in, usually about halfway through the book, constant affirmations. Are you sure? Are you sure you want this? Are you sure you want my throbbing member? It is the biggest, throbbingest member that has ever membered. Are you sure? Do you want this? I know we're trying to set a good example, but it's a romance novel, and he's already kidnapped her, or they're forced to work together for some reason, because again, they hate each other. Now we care about consent all of a sudden? I just find it really tedious. But first, oral. This is how the first time goes now. She's rarely a virgin anymore. Usually she's done it before, but she's never had a man go down on her. So, first we got the passionate kissing, then the oral, only on the woman, never on the man, and then the missionary. These are the steps. You shall never skip the steps. You shall not deviate from the steps. These are the steps. The dark fuck prince goes down on her before they get around to doing missionary, and, you know, Rose Luthia, she's always like, you can do that? It's 2026 and we're still doing this.
All right, you know what? This one's dumb. Dump it. Trash it. This one's garbage.
To some extent or other, some of these do apply to my books, and it's like, I know you guys have your criticisms. Sometimes I even agree with them. Oh, the things I would do differently. And no, I'm not going to tell you what the criticisms are that I agree with, just that there was a lot I would change about my first book. Not these two, though. These two are perfect, and you will leave my children alone. The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, arguably the biggest series right now, also features one of our least favorite tropes, Magical Death University, where you go to school and die. The heroine is a young woman. She is forced by her dragon rider military mom to go to dragon school, and, you know, damn it, we all went to the same Ivy. She wishes she could be thick and bootylicious, but she's just so pale and skinny, you know. And there's a war going out in somewhere in this magical fantasy world where, you know, death is just around the corner, but the conflict is, you know, over there. We're in school, we're going to class, and no, really, how is this compelling to adults? I don't understand. My mom says her friends who are really into it are also really into Harry Potter, so that might explain it. I just don't understand why anyone older than, I don't know, a junior in college would want to read or write a book about being in school, magic or otherwise. When you're an adult, school is a place for stress dreams and nothing else. But this one's kind of an outlier in that it's like Dragon, Death, Hogwarts. Really, the template is A Court of Thorn and Roses, Beauty and the Beast. The premise of A Court of Thorn and Roses is that poverty has forced its heroine, Feyre, into hunting and providing for her shitty family, and she accidentally ends up killing a fairy disguised as a wolf. Fairies are kind of like Tolkien elves mushed with Anne Rice vampires. That is what a fairy is now. In all of these, not just this book. And so the Dark Fuck Prince rolls up in the form of a beast, and he tells us that due to the terms of the Fairy-Human Treaty, the treaty, she can either die or come and live with him in Fairy World in exquisite luxury. And so, very begrudgingly, she agrees to that, and when she gets there, he turns back into his Fey form of an AI-generated hottie named Tamlin, and he is cursed not to be a beast, but to wear like a masquerade mask. Like a little... She, of course, hates the exquisite luxury and wants to go back to her hovel and her family that she hates. Her family is not the cause of any internal conflict because she neither misses them nor likes them, and their conflict is solved off screen, apparently. So this first book, again, is a lot of forced proximity with no forward momentum. You know, there's a bad something out there somewhere. And the way this book approaches the beast element in Beauty and the Beast kind of highlights my problem to the way this genre approaches the whole enemies to lovers thing. The intended themes of Beauty and the Beast have changed over the centuries. The original story was meant to, like, give comfort to girls who, you know, maybe they're going into an arranged marriage, or maybe they're gay and they don't want to get married at all, or they're afraid they might end up, you know, with a six. Because aside from the iffy circumstances of Beauty coming to live with the Beast, he's mostly a pretty nice guy, unlike the Disney movie.
You can't stay in there forever.
Yes, I can.
Fine. Then go ahead and starve!
Now, obviously, the intended themes of this motif have changed quite a bit in recent years, with it being less about Beauty's personal journey to see past the Beast's beastly visage and learn that, ooh, he's a prince, actually, and more about the Beast's heel-face turn.
I let her go.
How could you do that?
I had to.
Yes, but why?
Because I love her.
Or maybe the Beast representing the way society rejects immigrants or outsiders in general, as in The Shape of Water. Del Toro's explanation, not mine. What the Beast represents has changed a lot since the 18th century, is what I'm getting at, but how can vary a lot depending on if the Beast's conflict is internal, as in the Disney version, or external, as with The Shape of Water or Hellboy. But either way, it always deals with the way that people react to superficially scary-looking boys. Even in something like Phantom of the Opera or Frankenstein, where being treated like a beast can turn someone into a beast where otherwise they would not have been, it's always about this literally superficially scary looking little guys. But in these books, every single one of them, the Dark Fuck Prince is just a regulation hottie. Maybe he's got tattoos, like in this one. Look at those rad tattoos. Me, being mean is hard. And I'm like, come on guys, at least make him like a Nightcrawler. Like, you know, that's still Alan Cumming, he's still a cutie, but, you know, you still might go, ah, the first time you see him. If they're really feeling spicy, he might have dark hair and olive skin. The enemies to lovers motif is far more central to this genre than anything else we've mentioned, even variations on Beauty and the Beast. And it is not the concept itself that is the issue to me, it's the execution. And that leads me to this genre by trope thing that has become de rigueur in the last 10 years.
And then you've got kind of romance running through them like a backbone with these things called tropes. Do you know what a trope is in literature?
Hey, enemies to lovers.
It wouldn't be that hot if it wasn't enemies to lovers, forbidden love.
Like heavily influenced by fanfic culture and AO3. Books are being marketed and sold by what AO3 tropes they fall under. And I hate that. There's also a pattern I've noticed in these books where they'll set up an interesting conflict, or the world building ranges from competent to pretty innovative and interesting, but then the Dark Fuck Prince shows up and all the momentum just goes. Most romance novels that go off this enemies to lovers thing are not very plot driven. They are character driven. But most fantasy novels are very plot driven. So then around the end of Act 1, beginning of Act 2, we see this shift in priorities. Most of the time, the narrative stops being plot driven or world driven and starts being about the tropes. Like in A Court of Thorn and Roses, we are told that the fairies are really bad and they eat humans and they hunt the humans for sport, and that is why we are enemies at the start. But nothing the fairies say or do indicate that this is the case at all. They are honorable from the get-go and they cannot lie, so there's no real tension with this like, oh no, are they going to kill and eat me? Like no. No, they obviously are not. The books are chasing this enemies to lovers thing without the narrative having earned it. Contrast these with a book like Spinning Silver, which is good. Everything is a retelling now. This one is like a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, but like Lee Pace from The Hobbit is Rumpelstiltskin.
Tell me your name. Rumpelstiltskin.
It works. Bear with me. Now that I think about it, this might actually be one of my favorite books from the last 20 years. And it has a plot that's actually pretty similar to A Court of Thorn and Roses, but Spinning Silver successfully maintains the tension of, oh no, are they going to kill me now that I'm in the Court of Intrigue and Secrets? Literally the first thing the Dark Fuck Prince does when she gets taken to the Court of Intrigue and Secrets is he tries to kill her, like right off the bat, which sets up like, oh, okay, real danger, cool, I am invested. Which begs the question of like, why is this book not considered romantasy when all of these are? It came out after A Court of Thorn and Roses, and again, I think it kind of comes down to this indulgence of the trope thing. This book has multiple point of view characters that are female, which is not allowed. I didn't really clock it as moving towards a romance until very late in the book. The Dark Fuck Prince doesn't betray any kind of attraction to our heroine for a long time. He genuinely seems to hate her until she becomes useful, and then he begins to respect her, and then, you know, I'm not gonna spoil it. You should read it. But the way it plays out doesn't fall in line with the tropes we have come to associate with romantasy, which is why I think even though on paper it does all of the same stuff, it just doesn't do it in the right way. Therefore, it doesn't fall under that umbrella. So this was the one I hated the most. Angie hated Fourth Wing the most. It is extremely popular. She's a very competent writer. The world she sets up is interesting. There's a lot nice to say about the book, but the second the Dark Fuck Prince shows up, it's just like, no dive. To me. The constant bickering. This is like a Brandon Sanderson length book, and I swear like 80% of it is just them bitching at each other. And she's arguing where she thinks she knows what he's up to, and he's like, oh, well, if you do that, then you'll get yourself killed. And she does the thing where she's like, I'm gonna do it anyway, and he has to save her while also patronizing her because she's an idiot. And it's this never-ending ritual of humiliation where the male hero patronizes the heroine and condescends to her, but he's actually right, and she does need to be humiliated, and she does need to be put in her place because she is wrong all the time. And I know fans of this book will be like, but then he gets humbled later. Like, we're talking about runtime. Like, the sheer amount of the book of, like, the bickering being she's in the wrong versus the bickering being he's on, you know, it's the graph. I do want to interrogate why this dynamic is so popular. Why do women like reading about other women being humbled and humiliated for hundreds upon hundreds of pages by the Dark Fuck Prince? Is it because we spend our entire lives being condescended to by men, but, you know, we don't want it to stop? We would just settle for, wouldn't it be nice if he was right? This is the problem of building an entire genre around a set list of tropes, even if on paper they are tropes I'm on board with. At best you have something like The Knight and the Moth, which is good, but in my opinion, the enemies to lovers dynamic is the weakest part of the book. Because our heroes are still doing the but I hate you thing way after it makes narrative sense for them to be doing so. Honestly, of the books that we covered, this is the only one that I would personally recommend, even if it does capitalize verbs. It's about like these Delphi-style oracles. It has a really unique world. The momentum of the plot does not stop when the Dark Fuck, well, he's a knight. The Dark Fuck Knight shows up, and it actually cares about developing its side characters. It has a gargoyle that is delightful. It is a good book. I just can't help but wonder if her editor, like, really encouraged her. This is the only one that I would personally recommend, even if it does about developing its side characters. It has a gargoyle that is delightful. It is a good book. I just can't help but wonder if her editor, like, really encouraged her to play into this they need to be bickering at each other dynamic for way longer than it needed to. So maybe my brain is just broken and I'm over here like, why isn't everybody writing love stories about non-humanoid space aliens with, you know, terrifying monster bodies and varying spectrum of cybernetic enhancements? But the fact that the Dark Fuck Princes are all regulation hotties, it isn't really my issue. It's not all of my issue. It's kind of my okay, I don't like it. It's lazy. I hate that. But putting that aside, true enemies to lovers, where they legit hate each other for good reasons at first, and then they slowly realize that they have a lot in common, why is that so hard to do well in these books? Because I can think of a lot of examples that do it well. The other day I was rewatching The Sound of Music, and I was like, this does enemies to lovers better than any of these books.
Please
Captain. Love them all.
I don't care to hear anything further from you about my children.
I'm not finished yet,
Oh,
Captain.
yes, you are, Captain. Fräulein.
And in a way that would actually be really easy to make a fantasy version of. Oh, Maria Ethia is forced by the holy order of celibate elves to go into the house of the dark fuck captain, who he hates music and joy because of his tragic backstory. But oh no, she brings joy and music into the house, and he is threatened by this at first because he is all about rules and order because he's so traumatized by the loss of his wife. But he very quickly realizes that these were the things that were missing. But oh no, I'm a magical nun. We cannot be together no matter how well we do our fey magic dance together. Oh, but we're together now. But oh no, the magic Nazis are coming. In the romance novel version of this movie, I feel like, you know, in the scene in the gazebo, they should give in to their aching passion rather than sing about their tragic childhoods.
Perhaps I had a wicked childhood.
You know, this movie's not perfect, I guess is what I'm saying.
Nothing comes from nothing. Nothing ever could.
But The Sound of Music has a bunch of things that are not allowed in the romantasy genre. The dark fuck captain has a previous dead wife. That's not allowed. He has children. That's definitely not allowed. Maria spends a lot of time with the children and not with the dark fuck captain. That's not allowed. Another woman who is not the epitome of evil. Not allowed. The rules of romantasy, like paranormal romance before it, are surprisingly rigid. Derogatory. On a related note, Christopher Plummer is so hot in this movie. Like,
Oh, no, what's so funny? You are, Max. You're expensive, but very funny.
but part of that is because he never fully crosses the line into being an asshole. You know, she'll say something and you're like, oh, he's gonna be really mean, but then he's just like,
Fräulein, were you this much trouble at the Abbey?
Oh, much more, sir.
Like, he's never cruel in the way that the dark fuck princes in romantasy so often are. And we have so many more recent examples of this trope done effectively in a really popular way. Catwoman and Batman, Buffy and Spike, even Ben Wyatt and Leslie Knope, the greatest love story of our time.
I really like your shirt.
So I'd like to talk about where you think there's waste within your department.
You're a jerk.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, these are real people in a real town, working in a real building with real feelings. These are
Within your department.
I really like your shirt.
So I'd like to talk about where you think there's waste within your department.
You're a jerk.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, these are real people in a real town, working in a real building with real feelings.
This building has feelings?
Maybe. There's a lot of history in this one. Maybe it does.
Let's talk about the chic again. I just keep thinking about the Hollywood high chics. So, okay, the book is worse than the movie. It has everything wrong with it. The Sheik kidnaps the heroine. He rapes her, like, capital R, many times. No ambiguity. This is a bad guy. She's terrified of him. You know, but then she falls in love with him anyway, and they have a happy ending. And she doesn't die as punishment for getting raped and liking it. Progressive queen shit for 1919. I'm not joking. That was part of why the book was a huge hit when it came out, but also illustrates to me a component in the chic, but not in modern romantasy, which is violence. Like, in zero of these romantasy books will you see the hero ever cross that line. And it makes it different from, like, books like The Chic and Bodice Rippers that were all the rage in the 70s and 80s, even up to the 90s, and now Omegaverse books. Yes, I know these books are problematic, but I find them a lot more readable because the heroine has a good reason to hate the hero at first. Romance novels before the turn of the century, they were very rapey. If the heroes in these books don't rape the heroine right away, as in the case of The Flame and the Flower, which was the book that started off the whole bodice ripper craze, they will within the first half of the book. In a bodice ripper, that all-important deflowering scene is rarely consensual. At best, it'll be like an "I dare you, good sir" situation, and then he calls her bluff.
It's like in the olden days, in the days in France, when men would slap each other with their gloves. Say, D'Artagnan, how dare you talk to me like that, you?
This illustrates to me that there is a component that is rarely present in romantasy, and it's not sexual violence. That's not what I'm saying. But instead, it is a serious wrong that was done by the hero to the heroine that gives her a good reason not to trust him. Usually it's like he saves her life, but he's an asshole about it. Or there's some sort of fantasy loophole thing that means she is bound to him for some reason. Or she has some magical bending ability, so she has to stay with him until she fulfills the prophecy of the Chalice of the Nightcock. Enemies. And I just find that so weird because, like, it's fantasy. It should be really easy to find, like, some fantastical, like, wrong that he has done to her that isn't, like, a misunderstanding.
Oh, use your imagination. Think of what you can do.
Like, here's an example of serious wrong done by a hero to the heroine that is not violent. Well, it's not sexual violence.
Whoa, mind the face! I needed to steal your fans.
K-pop Demon Hunters is the story of some K-pop demon hunters. I'm going to spoil it, so if you haven't watched it, it deserves to be watched, so skip to this time code. It's a good movie, you should watch it. There's a big enemies to lovers element, but the main focus of this movie is the friendship between the three friends.
You guys just mean so much to me. I would really know.
Again, not allowed in romantasy. But also, the tension between protagonist Rumi and the demon Jinu is there because Jinu is a genuinely bad dude at first. He is working for his own selfish ends.
I know you, Gina. In 400 years, you've never done a single thing that didn't serve yourself.
The evil boy band is his idea. He isn't working to sabotage the demons. He doesn't secretly have a heart of gold. His tragic backstory is actually worse than what he originally presents to Rumi. He is also responsible for the death of untold countless Solians, but his face turn at the end of the movie, it makes sense. His attraction to Rumi makes sense. She has a dark secret that she cannot share with her friends, but he is the only person who understands.
Maybe listen to those voices instead of the ones in your head.
The fact that she shows him that someone can be part demon and a good person makes him wake up to the fact that it is even possible. He's not really conflicted at the beginning of the movie, but by the end he very much is. And that just makes this a much more satisfying enemies to lovers arc, even if it ends,
I'm sorry for everything.
No, I wanted to set you free.
So the arc of their relationship has a lot of tension and it never feels contrived. And I just think it's lame that when the narrative isn't that the bad guy does bad thing but changes over the narrative, but instead it's the heroine realizing, oh, he wasn't so bad the whole time. Oh, he had a reason to be mean to me. Now I'm okay with it. Also, this is like really the only way this movie could have ended. Self-sacrifice was kind of the only satisfying way this could have ended. He did some pretty bad stuff. He needed a self-sacrifice. Don't worry, there's gonna be a sequel, he'll be back. So I'm realizing now that just a lot of this is me talking about my personal preferences, which, you know, okay. And maybe I'm in the minority here, because I'm thinking about the difference between my first book and my second book, and they are pretty different, and, you know, that was always the plan. And when my second book came out, I was honestly really surprised that there were so many people who liked the first book but didn't like the second book because, well, first off, I thought my second book was vastly superior. I mean, I still do. But the vast majority of the sort of no me gusta-ing was around the tone shift between books 1 and book 2. It is narratively very different. It has multiple points of view characters. It was way darker. It has a much darker ending. And to me, that was a logical progression. You know, it's like Empire Strikes Back. But a lot of readers wanted something like the first book. And that did kind of surprise me. This is a broad problem in all entertainment industries, but in publishing in particular, selling things on a basis of, well, if you liked X, you'll like Y, and then everything kind of ends up being the same.
They really do churn them out like sausages.
So it's not that I feel like it's impossible to do romantasy in a way that is engaging or interesting. A couple of these books were pretty good. The Night and the Moth was really good. But playing to tropes and steering clear of anything that might make the Goodreads masses go crazy or anything that diverges from the rubric, it makes the trope itself feel like it's not earned. They are enemies because the book tells us they are. Not because of anything they did. So again, please do not mistake my whinging for telling people not to read this stuff or to do a read this, not that. If it comes down to people reading The Dark Fuck Prince or nothing, yes, read The Dark Fuck Prince. I am not saying read my books and not those. If you're a big fan of The Dark Fuck Prince, you probably won't like my books. And I'm honestly like annoyed that I feel like you even have to make this disclaimer. This has been a problem for years, the way this line between I don't like the thing and therefore we should destroy the author's life gets crossed. I personally have absolutely had my life destroyed by YA authors doing a read this, not that, or you're a racist. And yes, it was YA authors who started it, and if anyone says otherwise, they don't know what they're talking about. At the end of the day, my problem with this genre is the same problem that befalls all big trends, but especially romance trends, which is that it has a tendency to turn into the same thing over and over again. These tropes in isolation, but enemies to lovers in particular, they can be done so well. I usually like that. But most of these books are so laser focused on hitting the trope that it kind of misses the forest for the trees. And here's the thing, I don't know what the solution is to all of this. With my books, for instance, you know, because I am who I am, a lot of people read them who would not have otherwise and did not like them. But by that same token, I feel like there are a lot of people out there who would read my books, but who cannot find them for one reason or other. I've known a lot of these people probably don't pick them up because I am who I am. But then the question is, well, then how would they find them? How would they know if they like it? If not book discovery by trope, then what? I don't know. Good night, everybody.
about it every night. 날 보던 그 눈빛, I couldn't see the sign. 나만 못 본 건지, cause I wasn't blind. 다시 돌아갈 수 있다면, if only I could travel through time. So tell me, was it true, true, true? Me and you. 믿고 싶지 않아, 너가 날 좋아했다고. Was it true, true, true? Me and you. 믿고 싶지 않아, 너가 날 좋아했다고. I'll go back, so wait on me. Oh, I'll go back, so wait on me. Oh, I'll go back, so wait on me. Oh, I'll go back, oh, I'll go back. 미안해, I was so oblivious. 눈 못 마주쳐. I'll be on my way. 내가 약속해. You and me a fresh start. So think about it every night. 아무리 생각해도 should be by your side. 내 마음을 몰라. 다시 돌아갈 수 있다면 이번엔 내가 잡을 거야. So tell me, was it true, true, true? Me and you. 믿고 싶지 않아, 너가 날 좋아했다고. Was it true, true, true? Me and you. 믿고 싶지 않아, 너가 날 좋아했다고. I'll go back, so wait on me. Oh, I'll go back, so wait on me. Oh, I'll go back, so wait on me. Oh, I'll go back, oh, I'll go back. I'll go back, so wait on me. Oh, I'll go back, so wait on me. Oh, I'll go back, so wait on me. Oh, I'll go back, oh, I'll go back.
Alright, we're done, bro.
Holy shit.
Goodbye.
Jumping spiders are smart. So smart that they can even bond with humans, and for the past 500 days I've been raising my tiny spider, Earl. But her time is running out, so in this final phase of her life I'm going to try to give her the one thing she's been missing, a chance to be a mother. But if this doesn't work, she'll never have a family of her own. When Earl entered my life, she was tiny enough to make my fingernail look big. She ate well and grew quickly, and almost gave me a heart attack on more than one occasion. But just 2 weeks into our journey, she trusted me enough to allow me to hold her. Earl was growing up fast, and after going through her final molt, she was ready to enter the next phase of life, and this would be with her mustache-bearing boyfriend, Toe Jam. But this story was about to take an unexpected turn. Toe Jam was a brave spider, which he demonstrates perfectly by charging in, mustache first, into the danger zone that is Earl's personal space. At this point she would either eat him or mate with him, and there was no way of knowing which one she would choose. After throwing some of his best shapes, it was clear that ToeJam's seduction was working, and I was sure that ToeJam and Earl were on the first step to becoming parents. But just 2 days after they met, ToeJam was no longer of this earth. And to make matters worse, I now know that there will be no babies. Here's why. Male jumping spiders have their romance tools, which are these pedipalps right next to their faces. After Earl's final molt, she developed her epigene underneath her tummy. Now this bit is important, because for a pairing to work, she has to roll her tummy over to allow ToeJam's pedipalp in. When I went back through the footage, I could see clearly that at no point did Earl ever allow ToeJam in. That means that ToeJam and Earl never mated. And while this is a double whammy of bad news for ToeJam, Earl's story was just beginning. It has been 30 days since the death of ToeJam, and over 200 days since our journey started. And even though this spider's brain is the size of a poppy seed, she still trusts me and will let me hold her. For this last phase of Earl's life, I decided to build her one final terrarium, somewhere she could raise a family of her own. But time is not on our side, because Earl is getting older, so right behind this chickpea is someone very special. Ever since someone told me that male jumping spiders have mustaches, I cannot unsee it, so you have my word that any male jumping spiders in my future videos will be named after men with wonderful mustaches. So I would like you to meet Thomas Magnum, Dr. Richard Burke, Mr. Tom Selleck. We are poised for take 2 on this tiny spider family, but of course, things were not going to go to plan. For such tiny creatures, jumping spiders have a lot of personality. Tom Selleck is a very different spider to ToeJam. Where ToeJam would charge in and think later, Tom Selleck seems almost romantic in his demeanour. Which is funny because Earl is totally disinterested in him. No matter what Tom Selleck does, it does not work on Earl, and there may be a reason for this. Female jumping spiders are choosy about who they mate with. They judge males based on the quality of their courtship, sometimes appearing to hold out for a better dancer, which, to be fair, is exactly what Earl seems to be doing. Tom Selleck's first attempt didn't work, and neither did his second, and neither did his third, and it would appear that the absolute hunk in real life does not carry the same weight in the spider world. But just as I thought that this was going to be a failure, something quite unexpected happened. 220 days have passed since the start of our journey, and about 7,000 days since I first got the internet. Right, let's get back to Earl because there has been an unexpected development. The two most dangerous parts of a jumping spider's life are her final molt and when she lays her egg sac. On both occasions, she spins a thick web, crawls inside, and will go for potentially weeks without food, with a strong possibility that she won't make it out at all. Over the next few days, Earl begins to do something behind this leaf, but I can't get a clear look at her. I can see movements and that cute little face, but it's only when the leaf moves, revealing a thick web, that I knew what had happened. But this doesn't make any sense because I know that she never successfully mated with ToeJam or Tom Selleck. Earl climbs in, sealing herself off from the outside world, entering an unexpected yet highly dangerous time in her life. Thank you for that, Tom Selleck. Earl has been inside her web for 10 days, and it's not lost on me that losing her at this point would be a catastrophe. I've been through every stage of life with her, from her first fly to her first boyfriend, all the way up to today. Every morning I checked her terrarium hoping to see that little face again, and on the morning of day 265, I breathed a colossal sigh of relief, because hanging there, upside down, under the warmth of a light, is Earl. The good news is that she's safe and sound, but the bad news is that there isn't a single baby in sight, and it doesn't stop there. Because Tom Selleck joins Toe Jam in that big web in the sky, but like Toe Jam, part of him will always be with us. As the weeks and months passed by, Earl went about her life as if nothing had ever happened. After Toe Jam and Tom Selleck, I couldn't help but think, is Earl ever going to have a family? Or am I chasing something that is never going to happen? She rejects any male advances, and I must say I am proud she's a strong female, but I thought it would be easier than this. For Earl's family tree to have any chance, I'm going to give this one more try, but this time I'm going to set the mood, because, to be fair, I would not want to do it in a film canister. And as promised, I would like you to meet David Seaman, who, much like his human counterpart, turns out to be quite reliable. There was not a single moment in my life where I thought I'd be narrating an X-rated scene between a spider named after an England goalkeeper and another named after a video game character, but here we are. And this turned out to be the most important dance of this entire series. Consider this a pre-warning, it's about to get steamy. Because David Seaman has achieved what those before him were unable to do. Earl has accepted him, and for the next 3 minutes, David Seaman and Earl officially mate, and this journey has reached an all-time high. But we are dealing with Earl here, and even though this is clearly a successful pairing, there was yet one more problem. Earl is 500 days into our journey. She is the oldest jumping spider that I've ever known, and with that comes the problem. Female jumping spiders can store sperm for months, waiting for the right moment to use it. But they also have a window to use it, and now, 500 days in, it seems that Earl has chosen not to use it. The likelihood is that she will never have babies, with this journey ending in a way that I did not want. But there is something I want to be straight with you about, because it would have been easy to get hold of an egg sac and pretend that Earl did lay it, to give this video the payoff I so badly wanted. But telling her story exactly as it happened was the only way to be fair to Earl and to you. This is not the ending we wanted, but there is some good news. Because as a way to immortalise Earl, I asked one of my favourite artists to create a design I could put on some t-shirts, so if you'd like one you can head to my new store. And of course, Earl had to make the front cover of my third book, which you can pre-order in the description. And as one last nod to this tiny spider, here she is next to an AirPod, and here she is next to an avocado. Thanks Earl, it's been a wild ride.